สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีนะจ๊ะทุกคนนะคะ Good afternoon. Today we have our class 9 together. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to continue on with chapter 5 and hopefully we will finish up the whole chapter 5 today. And then I will go back to chapter 3 and then give you the introduction on chapter 3. All right. So that's the plan for today's session. And another thing that I would have to inform you is that I have already announced the midterm scores and also the quiz scores and attendance check for the portions before the midterm exam. The quiz will be accounted for 25% of the course grade, and I will drop the two lowest quizzes for you at the end of the semester. And also for the attendance, if you miss less than 2 classes, then you're going to get 5%. But if you miss more than that, right? If you miss more than the 2 classes, then the points will be deducted proportionately. And for the midterm exam, that would be accounted for 30% of the course grade. Okay. So now you have already hopefully seen your scores. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can talk to me in private. All right. So over here, let me remind you to sign in before we get started.คุณพัศการนะคะคุณสุภาเวศนะคะสุภาเวศเนาะนะคะ so these two you have not signed in just yet so please do so. Okay, so any questions or any concerns or anything you like to talk about? สวัสดีค่ะ anything you want to ask? You all yes?
คะแนนเท่าไหร่ถึงแนะนำให้ drop อะคะ
it depends on what do you want to get in terms of the grade, right? You know, every student will have, the expectation, right? Which may be different. So it depends on you just want to pass, or whether it depends on you want to get the good grades, whether you aim for the honors, right? So that would be a bit difficult to guide unless I know what is your expectation. Like for example, if you say I want to get I want to graduate with honors, in that situation you have to be careful. You should not get anything below C, right? So F, doc or doc plus, you should really avoid those grades, right? If you want to get honors.
อาจารย์คะอันนี้คือตัดเกรดแบบอิงกลุ่มรวมกับเซก1ใช่ไหมคะแบบ
yes of course
the mean of sec 1 is very high but
เดี๋ยวแป๊บนึงนะอยู่ดีหูแป๊บนึงไหนหนูลองพูดสิทำไมอยู่ดีหูไม่รู้อะฮัลโหลหนูลองพูดสิลูกครูได้ยินไหมทำไมอยู่ดีเหมือนหูเลย
I mean the mean of sec 1 is too high but our sec can we separate ตัดเกรดได้ไหมคะไม่ได้ใช่ไหม
หูเดี๋ยวแป๊บนะอยู่ดีหูอะแก่แล้วจริงๆ all right so what do you think, would it be fair if I do that? Would it be fair if I do that?
Sorry, I don't know what the question was.
No, I'm talking to Pawarisa. Would that be fair? What do you think? I mean, you are like grown adult, right? You're a grown adult. So let me talk to you and then see what you think. Well, would it be fair if I do that?
No ครับ I think last semester finance also did the same thing as us, right?
So we are using the same materials. We are using similar quizzes. We are using exactly the same exams. Just me who are teaching, same, right? So everything would be just the same, but why you suggest that, for section 1, right? Let's say for section 1, A would then be 90, and then for section 2, A would be 80. Would that be fair? I'm asking you honestly.
not
you
fair
are-
อาจารย์
you
sorry
grown
ค่ะ
adult, right? So you are grown adult. You should know whether that is fair.
not fair ค่ะอาจารย์ sorry ค่ะ
No. So you should not ask that type of. You should not request things like that because it wouldn't be fair, right? To your friends in section 1. They try really hard, so they get good grades, and you should do the same. Now, I'm not saying that you don't try your best, but it has to be fair, right? This is actually a controlled environment. Same material, same evaluation, same adjunct, right? So if we grade differently, how can I, answer section 1 that if you get, like, for example, 80, but if you are in section 1, you get B plus, but if you are in section 2, you get A, right? How can I answer them? You have to think, on that matter as well, right? So it has to be fair. That is very important. It's not about our group benefit, but rather it's about the good in the society at large, right? So it has to be fair. Okay.
อาจารย์ครับ I have a question about practice 5.
Practice 5, okay. Yes.
อาจารย์เปิดไปกับผมได้ไหมครับ มันคำถามยาวที่เป็น true false ครับ
I will post the solution.
ผมไม่เข้าใจคำอธิบายครับ แต่ผมมีคำตอบ
Which one?
It is said double declining balance method yields the highest amount of depreciation expense over the useful life of an asset.
Wrong.
Why?
Do you remember the example that we talked about in last class?
Yeah.
Okay. If you are using straight line over the life of the asset, how much is the depreciation that you have charged?
Equal
to how much? The example that we talked about last time. If we are using straight line, how much is the total depreciation that we have charged?
depreciable amount หรือเปล่าครับ
How much is it? Say the number.
1,200,000.
All right. Now, if you are using double declining balance, what is the total depreciation that you have charged over the life?
The same value, 1 million.
1.2. Okay, 1.2 million. If you are using the sum of the year digit, what is the total depreciation that you have charged over the life?
depreciable amount.
1.2 million, all right? Now, if you are using the units of production, what is the total depreciation that you have charged over the life?
1.2 million.
Okay, so the statement that you read earlier, would that be the correct or wrong statement?
Wrong. It should not be over.
It should be the same.
The same.
Because it said for the statement that you have written, right? That you have read, it said double declining balance would have the highest total depreciation. Is that right?
Yeah.
So would that be right or wrong?
Wrong. It is the
It's
same.
going to be the same for all the methods. Clear on that?
Thank you so much. I got it.
So any other questions that you may have before we start on the lecture today?
Yes, I have a question. How much percentage do we need to get to pass the course? Is there like, because I don't know how the system is in Thailand.
Are you on pass fail? Are you on or are you on the letter grades? How will you transfer back the grades to your home university as pass fail or as A, B, C, D?
I think it's just a pass or a fail.
Okay, so if it's a pass or a fail, then you should get more than half.
So more than 50%.
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's on a pass fail, then it's more than half. You will be okay.
And maybe one more question. Sorry. When is the final exam? Which day?
The final exam, I think it's in the course outline. I don't remember the day, but it's in the course outline. Anyone knows? Anyone know the final exam date? It's in the course outline.
May 23rd ค่ะ
เท่าไหร่นะคะลูก May 23rd, you said? Okay, May 23rd, in the morning. I agree with my the calendar on my phone นะคะ May 23rd. Dylan, are you on pass fail? Are you on letter grades? When you transfer back the grade to your home university, is it on the pass fail or on letter grades? Dylan? Are you here in the meeting? If you are on pass fail, then the answer will be just the same as Hela. In that if you get more than half, then you pass. But if you transfer back the letter grades, then in Thammasat University, there will be like A, B plus B, C plus C, and then D plus D, and then F. That is the grade system in Thammasat, which is, you know, maybe different from that of the European schools. But they're like the chart to transfer back and forth the letter grades to whatever grades you are, whatever grading system you are in. Okay, so any other questions? มีคำถามไหมคะ? Why do you think that section 1 is having a better grades than you? Have you calculated the percentage or what? Why would you say that the section 1 is better?
ดูคะแนนคร่าวๆเขาแบบว่าเยอะมากเลย20 อัพทั้งนั้นเลยค่ะของ midterm.
Which is really consistent, no? Which is really consistent with what they have chosen, right? So section 1 is actually the students who want to majoring in accounting. And, you know, section 2 is the ones who are majoring in marketing, right? Which is consistent with, with the pattern of what it should be. So, you know, it's quite common. Like, don't feel sad or anything. It's quite common. You know, accounting and marketing are two different things. They are on the different extremes. So if you are good in marketing, then that's good for you, right? If they are good in accounting, then it's good for them, right? So we have different specialization, right? And we have different interests. So for you, accounting may be just the fundamental knowledge that you should gain so that you can talk to people in business, so that you can later on, once you become, top executive in marketing. Then when people report you the accounting numbers like sales, for example, then you have to manage the budget, for example, then you understand the numbers. So the purpose would then be different, right, for the accounting major and the marketing major. So that I don't know, but the marketing score is equal to ours. That I don't know, but my point is that don't feel sad or anything,นะคะ. So it's just a different interest, different specialization that you are in. The thing is there's a separate out accounting and marketing in the two different sections, so you can see the difference in the score, but if they mix them up, then we are similar,นะคะ. Don't feel sorry or anything,นะคะ. So if you ask me,นะคะ, when I take marketing, I don't like it and I may not do well, right, because I don't like it. So it's quite common,นะคะ. It's quite common. But when I do accounting, I loved it, so I do well, right? So it's just it's the way it is,นะคะ. So don't feel anything. But you can try your best,นะคะ. I'm sure that I will be fair,นะคะ, to you and to the morning group as well,นะคะ. So I teach you the same thing. I don't have any preference, of section 1 over section 2. I don't have that preferences or anything,นะคะ. So I love you the same. I teach you the same. I use the same handout. Difficulty level of the quiz and exams will be just the same,นะคะ. So it's just the same,นะคะ. All right. Now, hope that you feel a bit better. คุณธนากรนี่ section 1 โดนตีบ้างไหมไม่โดนค่ะ but they are really quiet as well. I noticed that for section 1 they are really quiet as well, but they answer in the chat. They don't talk at all, นะคะ. So they don't talk, they don't say anything at all, but they really put in a lot of answers when I ask them questions, but it's in a typing form, no? So they don't really speak that much, if you ask me,นะคะ. So it's very similar. Okay, so they usually type in the answers. They don't like turn on microphone, just like Superweight or Thanakorn. We don't have that in section 1. we don't have a student like turning on microphone and says, "Hey, John." We don't have that, okay, in section 1, okay. But in terms of the quietness, it will be very similar, okay. All right. So any other questions or concern?
อาจารย์คะ is there any change for criteria reference ตัดเกรด in game?
Usually I look at both the group and also the criteria, นะคะ, the benchmark. I look at both, ค่ะ. In that, suppose that the whole group score really low, doesn't mean that I will give A to the one with the highest points. There may be no A at all for that case. So not only I look at the group, but also I look at the benchmark as well. I look at everything. I look at the name as well, whether you answer all the questions. I have a very good memories as well. So I look at many different things when I grade. But it's objective. It's objective, in fact. All right. So if you want to get good grades, then you have to let me teach now. Okay, so let me start teaching now. All right. So last time we have already calculated the depreciation using various different methods. And then we also talk about the change in the accounting estimates. If we don't think that the original estimates is the proper variable, okay? So we can change it later on. Now, for the topics that I will talk about today is the sale of property, plant, and equipment. So what you need to do, what you need to know is the main purpose of having the PPE is for use, but later on you may sell it off if you don't want to use the PPE any longer. All right. Now let's take a look at the information here for the sale of the property, plant, and equipment. So this is what happened. The company purchased computer on January 1st of year 1, and the cost is 2.5 million. The residual value is 250,000. The useful life is for 5 years or 9,000 hours, right? And the depreciation.
Share the
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't share my screen, so you only see my face then. Okay. All right, so sorry for that. Okay, so this is the information given to you. So the acquisition date is on January 1st of year 1, and then the cost is 2.5 million. The residual value is 250,000. Useful life is for 5 years or 9,000 hours. Depreciation can be any method: a straight line, double declining balance, sum of the year digits, and units of production. Okay. Now, after the company has been using the asset for 5 years, okay, so this is 5 full years already. So the company has been using the asset for 5 years, okay, 5 years. But how do you know that is 5 years? You look at this, right, date of acquisition, and then you compare that with the date of sale. Okay, so over here, if you look at the date, then you know that the company has been using the asset for 5 years already. And that 5 years is actually the end of the useful life, meaning that the company will then charge all the depreciation on this computer already. And the carrying amount at the end of the useful life would then be equal to the residual value. Okay, so let me type this in, the carrying amount, right? At the end of the useful life will be equal to the residual value. So here in this case, at the end of year 5, right? At the end of year 5, what would then be the carrying amount of the asset? So at the end of year 5, the carrying amount of the asset would then be, hello. So at the end of the useful life, at the end of the useful life, the carrying amount would then be equal to the 250,000, right? 250,000. So now, if you sell off, right, the asset and then you get money for 300,000, my question to you is, would this be good or bad? Would this be good or bad? So if cash received, right, is greater than, right, the carrying amount, is be good? If cash received is greater than the carrying amount, would this be good? Good or bad? It is, right? It is good, right? So the different, right? The different is what I call gain, okay? Yeah. So this is good in that, you know, you get more money, right, than the carrying amount. So it's the gain. Let me reduce the size a little bit because I want you to see the amount of the gain as well. All right, so over here, cash received is 300,000 and the carrying amount is 250,000. So here in this case, you would then have the gain on the sale, gain on the sale for 50,000, right? Gain on the sale is 50,000. Gain on sale is 50,000. Now, opposite to that, suppose that you have the cash receipt of only 200,000. Okay, cash receipt is only 200,000. So it's going to be a different case, right? Different case. So over here, cash receipt is less than the carrying amount, right? So it's not going to be good for the company. Here in this case, you would have loss instead of the gain. Now you have loss instead of the gain. Okay. So in case number one, you have the gain for 50,000, and then in case number two, you have the loss for 50,000. Right, so the calculation is really simple and straightforward. Given that you have been using the asset for 5 years, right, till the end of the useful life. So this is really simple. Now, if you finish up with the notes, then I will show you the calculation in detail. Okay. All right. So if you finish up with this, let me move it up a little bit. So over here, I would have to do the calculation in detail. Let's just assume that for this calculation, this is under the straight line method. So my example over here is determined under the straight line method. You starting out by putting in the cost, right? And here the cost is 2.5 million. Okay, the cost is 2.5 million. And then you take out the residual value, which is 250,000. And then you have to divide it up by 5 years. This is typo, this is typo. So can you please change it to divided? This is typo. So change this for me, please. I'm so sorry, that's there's typo there. So if you do the calculation, you're gonna get 450,000. This is the depreciation per year. Depreciation per year. And as I have already mentioned, we have been using the asset for 5 years already. So you have to take this 450 and then multiply that by 5 years. 5 years. Okay. So after you take the 5 years and then multiply that by 450,000, you're going to get the accumulated depreciation over the 5 years period. Okay, 450. Take it here. And then multiply that by 5. You're going to get 2,250,000. And this 2,250,000 would then be taken to here. Okay, so that we can do the calculation for the carrying amount or the book value at the date of the sale. And over here, the amount is 250,000. Okay, so you take the note here, please. Any part of this calculation that you don't follow, you let me know, please. All right, so over here, after you have calculated this, I hope that you finish up with the notes. Then what I would do is I would take here the amount of cash received, which is 300,000 in case number 1. And then I would take the carrying amount that I have calculated earlier for 250,000. So over here, you can see that we have gain on the sale, right? Gain on sale. So gain on sale, you know, how would this affect the equity, right? So gain is increasing, the profit would then be increasing, then the retained earnings would be increasing, and the equity would then be increasing. So my question to you is, how should I record the gain on the sale? Should it be debited or should it be credited if you want to record the sale? What do you say? From this calculation, right, case 1, we have gain. Should we record debit to the gain or credit to the gain? Debit to the credit to the gain or debit to the gain?
credit card
credit to the gain, right? On sale. Okay, so this is how you record it. So now let me record the entry for you. Everyone, let me guide you through. For this cash, right? You receive money, right? Receive cash. คุณลูกค้า you receive cash. So if you receive cash, should it be debit to cash or credit to cash? Hello. If you receive cash, should it be debit to cash or credit to cash?
debit ค่ะ
Debit to cash, right? Okay, so this is debit to cash, so it's here. Okay, so if you sell off the computer, right? You sell the computer. So if you sold the computer out already, you no longer have the computer with you. How do you remove the computer? Should it be debit to computer or should it be credit to computer? Debit to computer or credit to computer to take it out. You sell it off already. Would be credit, right? Credit to computer. Okay, so it here, right? Credit to the computer. Okay. Let me ask you questions. If you no longer have the computer, should you still have the accumulated depreciation associated with the computer in the book? Think about it, right? Think about it. The reason that you have accumulated depreciation because you have the computer. But now you no longer have the computer. You sell it off already. So if you sell off the computer already, should you still have the accumulated depreciation on the computer in the book? No, right? So you have to remove this accumulated depreciation together with the computer, right? So my question to you is, how do you remove it? Should you record debit to it or should you record credit to it? Okay, very good. You have to record debit to the accumulated depreciation. So it's here. Now, one last thing, right? We have already analyzed, right, that this case is good, that we have gain. So the gain must be recorded on the credit side, just like the revenue. Gain and the revenues are just the same thing, okay? So this is how you record the transaction. So any questions or any parts that you don't followed?นี่ค่ะเซตนี้ก็เก่งหลายคนนะครูเห็นชื่อเนี่ยค่ะคุณวิภาวีใช่ไหมคะก็คะแนนดีนะคุณนนลนีใช่ไหมคะ There are several students who have got a very good grade as well. While you are taking notes, let me tell you this. I think you can learn accounting with no problem. If you like open up your mind to kind of like it. If you like it, even if it's just a little bit, right? If you like it a little bit, then you have like internal drive, right, to pursue the goal. But if you say, well, you hate it, right? So if that's the case, then there's no way. It's like a wall, right? Just like that, right, in front of you. And it will block your understanding on everything. So I think changing the mindset is really important. If I'm not asking you to love accounting, but you may like it a little bit more. Okay, so for that, it will change your mindset, and then I'm sure that with your ability, with your potential, you can pursue the goal, right? Well, whatever grades you want to get, I'm sure that you can do it. Okay. All right, now how about case number 2, right? How about case number 2? You received the money นะคะ for only 200,000, right? Again, if you receive the money, you have to record here debit to cash. Okay? And the cost นะคะ and the cost of this computer is 2.5 million, right? 2.5 million. Okay, so it's 2.5 million. And over here for the accumulated depreciation, right? Accumulated depreciation. The accumulated depreciation is 2.25 million. Okay, and you want to remove them all together with the computer. So the computer will be removed with credit, and the accumulated depreciation will be removed with debit. And here in this case, if you have been using the asset for 5 years, then the carrying amount will be 250,000. And over here, you get less money, right? Which is not good. So if you get less money, then you have loss, right? Instead of having the gain. Now you have loss, right? Instead of having the gain. So over here, if you have loss on the sale, right, it's not going to be good, right, for the company. Okay? So over here, it's loss, right? It's increasing, so the profit would then be down, retained earnings would then be down, and the equity would then be down as well. So my question to you is, how should you record the loss on the sale? Should it be debited, just like expense, or should it be credited? What do you say? How should I record the loss? Would it be debited or credited? Okay, so over here, right, it's going to be debited นะคะ to the loss on the sale นะ debited to the loss on the sale. All right, suppose that you finish up with the notes above นะคะ so let me show you this one นะ again cash is received, so that's debit to cash. Okay, and you take out the computer because you sell it off already. Not only you have to remove the computer, but also you have to remove the associated accumulated depreciation. And here in this case, you get less money, which is not good, right? So if you get less money, then the loss must be recorded on the debit side นะคะ just like what we have analyzed here นะคะ the loss will be recorded on the debit side. So now you take the note here, please.ค่ะ
Why the computer is as
your voice is like on and off ค่ะ one more time.
the loss of the computer ค่ะ why is it expense plus ค่ะ
you can say loss นะคะ same thing ค่ะ expense and loss same thing.
thank you ค่ะ
loss and expense gain and revenues นะคะ they basically have the same loss right expense ค่ะ gain
อาจารย์คะตรง accumulate depreciation ใส่วงเล็บหรือไม่ใส่วงเล็บนี่ค่าเท่ากันไหมอะคะ
which one
accumulate depreciation นะคะ
I mean which one you are talking about in the entry or in the calculation
in the entry ค่ะ
for the entry you mean the numbers here เหรอคะอย่างนี้เหรอ
หนูเห็นข้างบนเขาใส่ใช่ค่ะ
ที่รักin the entry have you ever seen negative number
ไม่ค่ะ
why so
เพราะว่ามันลบกันกับเดบิตเครดิตแล้วมันเท่ากัน
in the entry have you ever seen any numbers with the negative sign like let me go back to chapter 2 right all right so this is section 2 right so when you record the entry everyone when you record the entry have you ever seen negative number recorded
no ค่ะ
why do you know why
because มันจะบวกแต่ละฝั่งแล้วมันจะ in the end มันจะเดบิตกับเครดิตจะเท่ากัน
that is not the reason so over here you know if you look at the entries here also entries right here also entries have you ever seen negative numbers in the entry ever เนี่ยนี่ก็ entry เหมือนกันใช่ไหม have you ever seen negative number in the entry if not what is the reason
ตัวเดบิตเครดิตจะเป็นตัวบอกค่ะว่ามันแบบว่าต้องเพิ่มหรือลดแบบ normal balance มัน
100% correct right so we don't put in negative number when we record the entry the reason is because what your friends has said because the debit and credit will then be the sign right whether we should subtract or we should add right like for example here for the accumulated depreciation if you record debit to it is it increasing or decreasing
decreasing ค่ะ
so the fact that over here everyone the fact that you record debit right to this accumulated depreciation you know that the amount will be decreasing because the normal balance is on the credit side if you record debit to it then you know that this amount is reducingนะคะ so we basically take out the accumulated depreciation by recording debit to it นะคะ so in the entry you will never ever seen negative number recorded ever เลยค่ะ no way นะ so over here นะคะ for the numbers recorded in the entry there will be no negative number because the debit and credit will guide you right whether you should reduce the balance or increase the balance okay like for example loss here right loss when you record the loss if you record debit to the loss right if you record debit to the loss is actually increasing ถูกไหมso if you record debit to the loss the amount of the loss is debit to loss right so the amount of the loss is actually increasing right so the debit and credit would suggest whether the balance is increasing or decreasing So in a T account, in the entry, there's no negative number ever นะคะนะ in the entries and also in the T account นะคะ there's no negative number ever because the debit and credit would guide you already whether the amount is increasing or decreasing. Okay, good question นะคะ so so that I can explain this to you and hopefully you have now the correct understanding. Very good question. Okay, so right now I hope that you finish up with the notes here. Okay, next it will be about the sale of the PPE as well, but this time the company has been using the asset for quite a while, but it's not the end of the useful life just yet. So let's take a look at the information here and then we will do the calculation together. This is about furniture. The company acquired the furniture on Jan the 1st of year 1. And then the cost is 2.1 million. Residual value is 300,000. The useful life is for 5 years. And the depreciation method is straight line. And then what happened is the company has been using the asset for a while. And then later on sell off the asset for 1,275,000. So what I want you to do is I want you to determine how many years and how many months that the company has been using the asset for. And counting from Jan the 1st of year 1, right? Up until October the 1st of year 3. Now the company has been using the asset for how many years?
3.
2 years and 10 months.
One more time. How many years and how many months?
2 years and
2 years and
9 ล่ะค่ะเห็นเพื่อน
okay. Years and 9 months, right? The company has been using the asset for 2 years and 9 months already. And then after that, the company has sold the furniture, right, to some others. 2 years and 9 months, นะคะ 2 years and 9 months. All right. So if you do agree with the 2 years and 9 months, then let's do the calculation here together. You first of all take the cost, which is 2.1 million, right, to here นะคะ 2.1 million นะคะ2.1 million, okay. And then you have to take the residual value, which is 300,000, okay. And then you have to close the parentheses first นะคะclose the parentheses. And then again, for this one นะคะ typo again นะตรงนี้นะคะ so it's divided นะคะ so it's a typo นะตรงนี้นะคะ change it for me please. And then you divide it up by 5 years in the life, right, 5-year useful life. So if you were to do the calculation, the depreciation per year would then be 360,000, 360 นะคะ. And then how long have you been using the asset for? You have analyzed that you have been using the asset for 2 years and 9 months. นะคะ 2 years and 9 months. So let me reduce the size a bit. นะคะ 2 years and 9 months. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this 360, right? นะคะ and then take it here. นะคะ and then take it here. So, you know, the depreciation per year is 360,000. So you take it there, right? 3 years and, I'm sorry, 360,000. นะคะ 360,000. And over here, you have to multiply it by 2 years. So you're going to get 720,000, right, for 2 years. And then for this, you have been using the asset during year 3 for 9 months. So it's 9 over 12. If you do the calculation, you're going to get 270,000. Now, if you want to sum them up so that you know the total accumulated depreciation for 2 years and 9 months, นะคะ so for this นะคะ you take it here and for this you take it here นะคะ so the total accumulated depreciation for 2 years and 9 months would then be 990,000 นะคะ 990,000 All right. So if you finish up with this calculation already, then we're gonna take this 990,000 to here. Okay, 990,000 would then be taken to here. So right now, what you can do is you can do the calculation for the carrying amount at the date of the sale, and it's 1,110,000. Okay, 1,110,000. If you don't follow, you let me know,นะคะ. All right. Now, after you finish up with the calculation here, right, then we can do the calculation. From the information given, this is cash received, right, which need to be recorded by debit to cash, right? And then the cost of this furniture is 2.1 million, and the accumulated depreciation is 990,000. And the carrying amount, which we have already calculated, is 1,110,000. Okay, so we sold this furniture already, so it has to be credit to furniture. Right, and then remove accumulated depreciation by recording debit to accumulated depreciation. Okay, so here in this case, do you have gain or do you have loss? You can see that you get more money, right, than the book value. So over here, you have to record the gain by recording credit to gain. Okay, so this is the recording for this particular case. Okay. Now that we calculated the amount already, let me show you the recording. You have to record the furniture when you buy the furniture by recording debit to furniture, credit to cash. And then you have been using the asset for 2 years and 9 months, right? So you have to record depreciation in year 1, year 2, and then year 3. And then lastly, you have to record the sale of this furniture. Okay, so this is the acquisition. Okay, and this is depreciation expense for year 1. Okay, so this is depreciation expense as well. Okay, only for 9 months นะคะ only for 9 months นะคะ and then this is the sale นะคะ of the furniture. So these are the entries that you have to record over the life or see. Can you please turn on your microphone, RC? All right, so over here you have to record the acquisition of the furniture, depreciation for 2 years and also 9 months. And then lastly, you have to record the sale of this furniture. Okay, so any questions here for the entries? Now let me see นะคะ we will have another example here นะคะ we will have another example here. So what I want to do is นะคะ this is what I want to do. To do list นะคะ first นะคะ take note on this example. Second, work on the next example, which is one last นะคะ and third of all, take the break back at 2 o'clock. To do list นะคะ to do list. So this is your to do list now นะคะ to do list. To do list นะคะ you take the note on this example and then you work on the next example, which is really similar to this นะคะ so work on that as practice. And you take the break, come back around 2:20 นะคะ so I'll give you time to take the note and then to think about another example นะคะ another example is about machine นะคะ machine example นะ work on let's say the machine example นะ machine นะคะ work on the machine example, which is the following example, and then take a break and be back at 10:20. At this point, do you have any questions? If not นะคะ take the break นะ แล้วก็ take the note นะคะ ระหว่างนี้มีคำถามเชิญได้นะคะค่ะสักครู่ค่ะมีธุระอะไรเอ่ยดีค่ะค่ะค่ะ มีคำถามถามได้นะคะระหว่างนี้นะคะมีไหมไม่มีคำถามนะไม่มีคำถามงั้นก็ครูก็ไม่นั่งรอแล้วนะ งั้นให้จดไปก่อนให้ทำไปก่อนนะคะทำไปก่อนนะ Okay, all right. So I am now back. Hope that you are back as well. Have you finished with the example that I assigned you to work on? Okay, so let me guide you through, okay? And then I will ask you along the way, no? Okay. So over here, let's take a look at the information given first. This is about machine. The company acquired a machine on January 1st of year 1, and the cost of the machine is 5,545,000, and the residual value is 145,000. The useful life is for 5 years. Depreciation method is for is straight line. Okay. Then the company has been using the asset for a while, and then the company decided to sell off the asset on July the 1st of year 3. So my questions would then be, if you look at the date, right, counting from the day that the company acquired the machine up until the day that the company sell off the machine, how many years and how many months the company has been using this asset for? How many years and how many months?
2 years and 6 months.
Okay, so it's going to be 2 years and 6 months, right? 2 years and 6 months. So this is a typo นะคะ so you change it for me please นะคะตรงนี้นะ typo นะ can anyone tell me the depreciation per year under the straight line method นะคะ depreciation per year ค่ะ how much is it? Hope that you have already calculated this. So how much is the depreciation per year under the straight line method? เท่าไหร่คะลูก
1,080,000 ครับ
Very good, Khan. Thank you very much. That is totally correct. Now, after you know the depreciation per year, after you know the depreciation per year, right? Then you're going to take the depreciation per year to here. And then you will do the calculation for the accumulated depreciation for 2 years and 6 months นะคะ ตรงนี้ครูพิมพ์ผิดนะ ต้องเป็น 6 months. So this is 6 months. So change this for me, please, to 6 months. Okay, I'm sorry for another typo here. So you have been using the asset, right, for 2 years and also 9 months, right? 2 years and 9 months. Oh, of course, 2 years and 6 months, right? 2 years and 6 months. So what is the total accumulated depreciation at the date of the sale? What is the total for 2 years and 9 months? Yeah, 2 years and 9 months. Okay, 2 years and 9 months. So all in all, if you do the calculation, the accumulated depreciation is 2,700,000, right? 2,700,000. Okay. So if the accumulated depreciation is for 2.7 million, right? 2.7 million. How much is the carrying amount at the date of the sale? How much is the carrying amount at the date of the sale? How much is it? So it's going to be 2,845,000, right? 2,845,000. So you basically take the amount to here, right? 2,845,000. And according to the information given, the company received the money for 2,150,000. So my question to you is, how much is the loss or how much is the gain? Do we have gain or do we have loss here in this situation? What do you say, Khan? Do you have gain or do you have loss?
Loss.
So from what you have calculated, you will see that you get less money, right? Which is not good, meaning that you have loss on the sale, right? Loss on the sale. So over here, after you have loss on the sale, you can then record the transaction. Okay, now you can record the transaction. First of all, you have to record the acquisition of the machine by recording debit to machine, credit to cash. And second of all, you have to record the depreciation expense for year 2 2000x1, right? Full year นะคะ and then this is another year and this is another year. So for year number 2, it's going to be 1 full year, right? And then for year number 3, it's going to be 6 months only. Okay. And then lastly, you have to record the sale of this particular machine as well. Okay. And as you can see, you have to record the loss on the debit side. Okay, so if you finish up with the notes here, you let me know, or if you need more time, you can say, Ajahn, wait, okay, I will then wait for you. Right, so finish up with the notes and everything. That make up. Okay, and let me move it up a little bit, right? So on the financial statements, you have been using the asset for 2 years and 6 months. So for year 1, you charge full year, right? Year 2, you charge full year, and then year 3, you charge half of the year depreciation. And for the gain or loss, right, you only need to report the gain or loss in the year of the sale. So here in this case, you sell off, right, the machine to some others in year 3. Then the loss must be presented only in year 3. Okay. Now for the statement of financial position, in year number 1, the carrying amount is 4,465,000, and then for year number 2, the carrying amount is 3,385,000. And then for year number 3, you no longer have the machine, right? Because you sell it off already. Now, any questions on the financial statement presentation? So this is the end of chapter 5. Do you have any questions?
Excuse me, could you maybe shortly go a bit up so that I can see the first entries?
Yes.
What is impairment of assets?
I have already stated that this is part of the AC311, and it's not going to be covered in this AC201. So do you want to know the detail of it or what?
Maybe just briefly a little bit. Could it be possible?
Yes, but you will be confused even more. But if you want, okay. So for the impairment of asset, let me go back to this material. In fact, the accounting standard number 36, which is on the impairment of assets, stated that whenever there's indicators of impairment, then you have to test for the impairment of the asset. It would mean that there would be the reduction in the recoverable amount related to the asset, right? And if you do have that impairment, then the impairment must be taken out, right, from the cost of the asset and from the, from this calculation to get the carrying amount. So if you look at the PPE on the financial statements, then it's going to be cost, right, minus accumulated depreciation and minus that by the allowance for impairment of asset. So what is the impairment? The impairment will occur if the carrying amount is greater than the recoverable amount of the asset. So this recoverable amount is actually the benefit that you expect to get from the asset. There are two ways to estimate the recoverable amount. First of all, you may sell the asset off at that time. So how much is the net selling price? So second of all, you may make use of the asset forever and ever, right? So for that, you have to determine the present value of the future cash flows related to the use of the asset. And then you get the value in use. You would take whatever is higher to be your recoverable amount, and then you compare that with the carrying amount of the asset. And if the carrying amount is greater than the net benefit that you expect to get, so for that case, that would be impairment loss that you have to record as part of the expense. So the impairment loss here, right, will be recorded as part of the expense. And if for the opposite case, if the carrying amount here is less than the recoverable amount of the asset, then there's no impairment loss. So that's the concept of the impairment of asset and how to do the calculation. But the difficult part is how to get this net selling price and how to get this value in use. And another difficult part is that what if you impair the asset in this period and then later on in the next period, the indicator disappear? So would you be able to reverse the impairment loss on the asset and how to reverse that loss? So there will be a lot of details that would be discussed here in this accounting standard. So this is one of the accounting standard that is very, very complicated. So that's why this wouldn't be covered in the higher level accounting courses. So it's not going to be covered by this AC201. So the basic idea is that if we foresee that in the future, the benefit of the asset dropped below the carrying amount, then we have to recognize the loss immediately, right? So that's the concept of impairment, right? So to give you an example, let's say that you have the asset with the value of 100, right? So right now, the carrying amount of the asset is 100. But if you foresee that in the future, if you make use of it, the benefit that you get is only 90. Or if you sell it off right now, you're going to get only like 95. So if that's the case, then we can see that the carrying amount is greater, right, than the recoverable amount of the asset. So for that case, you will have impairment loss, right? Like for example, here I put in 100 baht. Then the net selling price, you think that if you sell off the asset, you're going to get like 95 baht now. And then for the value in use, you estimated future cash flows and then discount them back to the present time. And then you're going to get, like, for example, 90 baht. Okay. So for this particular example, the 95 is actually greater, right? So it's going to be 95 baht here. Okay. Okay, so if the carrying amount is greater than the recoverable amount, which is 95 baht, okay, so here in this case, you would then have the impairment loss of 5 baht. Okay, so it's going to be recorded by the impairment loss 5 baht, and then credit to the allowance for impairment loss. Like that. Okay, so this is the example. But you know, suppose that this is 105, let's say, okay. So this is suppose that this is 105, right? The higher would then be 105, but so for this case, there's no impairment loss. Okay, so this is the calculation and the recording. You want to hear more? Actually, there are a lot more detail than just this.
No, not anymore. Thank you ครับอาจารย์
Okay. So there's a reason, there's a reason why it's omitted, and it will be discussed in the higher accounting courses. It is because you need to have fundamental knowledge in order to be able to understand this. Like for example, for this value in use, you have to do the calculation for the present value of future cash flow. And this is actually part of the FN 201 So you have to know 201, right? So that you can do the calculation for the present value. You have to know AC201 so that you understand the recording and everything. So there would be a lot of fundamental knowledge that you have to gain in order to be able to understand something like this. Right? So that's why they laid out the topics at the higher level of accounting, because if I talk about this now, right, you don't know the present value, you have not taken FN 201, so there's no way that you would understand the calculation of this value in use. Okay, but the idea is that if you foresee the loss in the future, if you think that the benefit of the asset dropped, right, below the carrying amount, in that situation, you have to record the impairment loss. And this impairment loss would be part of the expense, right, on the financial statements. But later on, the loss can be reversed, but for some of the assets, they may not be. Okay.
อาจารย์คะ could you scroll it to the page that financial statement presentation, because I haven't finished the note. Thank you ค่ะ อาจารย์
So any other questions on chapter 5?
Not this page อะค่ะอาจารย์
Which one then?
The page after sale of property, plant and equipment.
Which one?
This I don't know. Just one page before this.
This?
Yes. Thank you ค่ะ
All right, so any parts that you want to ask, or any part of the lecture that you want to see?
Maybe the comprehensive income again.
Any questions? If not, I will move on to another chapter. Any parts that you want to ask or any parts that you haven't finished taking notes on?
So for the loss on sales, you basically subtracted the cash you received from selling minus the carrying amount, right?
Yes, so the calculation is here. This is the calculation. You compare figure 1 with figure 2. If the figure 1 is greater than figure 2, then you have the gain, right? But here in this situation, the figure 1, right, which is cash received, is less than the carrying amount, so you have the loss. So this is the calculation that you asked for.มีคำถามไหมคะ Do you have any questions? Okay, if not, then I'll move along นะคะ to the next chapter, which is chapter 3. Okay, so next would be chapter 3 on the inventory. So what are the things that you need to know about the inventory? Okay, chapter 3. This is okay. So everyone please go to the chapter 3 and then we will talk about this chapter 3 together. Chapter 3 นะคะ go back to chapter 3. Okay, now for this chapter 3, it is about the inventory, which are assets. So it's governed by the TS number 2, which is the accounting standards on the inventory. So in Thai, we call this as สินค้าคงเหลือ, right? So the inventory is actually the asset, right? The asset. Okay. So to be more specific, the inventory is part of the current asset. Okay. Now there are 3 different formats, right, of the inventory. The first one is the what we call finished products. So these are the products held for sale, right? These are the product held for sale. So we have finished products. Let me take the current asset from here to here. All right. So, you know, if you have the products that are ready for sale, then it is called finished products. And over here, if you have the product that's still in process, then we call this as work in process or work in progress. Whatever you want to call, they are just the same. Work in process or work in progress. Okay. And then lastly, you may have the materials and supplies. Okay, so here we call raw materials and the supplies. Okay, so there are 3 different forms of the inventory: finished products, work in process and the raw materials and supplies. Now, how do we present the inventory? The inventory will be presented on the statement of financial position as part of current asset. Okay, so the inventory will be presented on the statement of financial position as part of the current asset. Now, how do we present it? Okay, so we're going to take the lower, okay, the lower of first of all cost. Okay, you have to determine the cost, and second of all, the net realizable value. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to compare the cost with the net realizable value, right? Compare the two, and then you're going to take the lower one. Okay, you take the lower one. So this is the lower of the cost and the net realizable value. All right, cost. Okay, you compare cost with the net realizable value. So you have to understand what it means by cost and what it means by the net realizable value. So let me first talk about cost, right? How do we know the cost of the inventory? The cost of the inventory include all the costs needed to be incurred so that you have the inventory in a ready to sell location and condition. So it will consist of the cost of purchase, right? How much you pay when you buy the product from the supplier, or how much you pay when you buy the raw materials from the supplier. And then the cost of conversion, right? Do you need to pay also to convert that raw material to the finished products? How much would that be? And some other costs needed, right? So that you have the inventory in a ready to sell location and condition. So all these are the inventory costs, right? Like, let me give you an example. We can have cost of raw materials, cost of labor, some other production related costs, and also and the shipping costs as well, right, can be included here if you need to pay for the shipment to bring the product into your location, right? So these are the costs. Now for the net realizable value, or usually we call this as NRV, net realizable value, or the NRV. So this is actually the net benefit that you think you will get. Now, net benefit that you think you will get. So you will determine the net benefit that you're going to get from the sale. Okay, so how do we do the calculation for this NRV? Let me write it down here for you. The NRV is determined by taking estimated selling price and then minus that by the cost to sell or cost to complete. So the net realizable value is actually the net benefit that you think you will get from the sale. Let me write it down here, NRV. So basically it is the net benefit expected to get when the inventories are sold. So what would be the net benefit that you think you will get, right, when you sell off the inventory to others? So how do you do the calculation? You take the estimated selling price that you will charge your customers and then minus that by the cost to sell. Like, for example, you may not have the sale office, right? So you have to rent the sale office. Or you may have to pay for the product listing so that your products can be sold at 7-Eleven, at supermarket, for example, right? So that's cost to sale. Without that cost to sale, then there's no way that you will be able to sell the products. And also, if this is the work in process, meaning that you have not finished up with the production just yet, then maybe you have to also calculate the cost to complete and take it out from the estimated selling price. Okay. right? So over here, let's do the calculation together, okay, on this net realizable value. Okay, all right. So I have given you here two examples for case 1 and case 2. For case number 1, right, the cost is 1 million. And then for the net realizable value, what you need to do is you need to take the selling price, right, and then minus that by the cost to sell, and then you're gonna get the net realizable value. So here in this case, the net realizable value is 1,125,000. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the lower one, นะคะ You're gonna take the lower one. So which one is lower? What do you think? Is it cost or is it net realizable value? Which one is lower? คะ For case 1 นะคะ For case 1, is it cost that is lower or net realizable value that is lower?
cost ครับ
Okay, so the cost is just lower. So what I would do is I would take the cost to here. I would take the cost to here. The cost is lower. Now, if you are the top management of this company, is this good or bad situation for the company? If the cost that you pay, right, when you buy the inventory is 1 million, but the net benefit that you think you will get is 1,125,000. So is this good or bad for the company? Do you foresee the loss? That is my question. Do you foresee the loss? Is it good or is it bad? Do you foresee the loss? What do you say? Do you foresee the loss or do you foresee the profits?
Foresee the profit.
All right, so now you foresee the profit. You don't really see any loss, right? So there's no loss that we need to record, no loss, นะคะ So let me write it clearly, นะคะ For this case 1, นะ case 1 นะคะ So for this case 1, right, the cost is lower than the net realizable value, นะคะ So here in this case, there's no loss. Yeah, it's good for the company, in fact. Now for the case number 2, again, the cost is 1 million, I'm sorry. Cost is 1 million. But if you do the calculation, you're gonna get 875,000 in the net realizable value. Okay, so minus, right, and then equal. So over here, okay, the net realizable value is 875,000. So which amount is lower? Which amount is lower?
NRV
Okay, so the NRV is actually lower. Okay, so now if you are the top management and then you see this situation, would it be good or bad for the company? The cost is 1 million, right? But the net benefit that you think you will get from the sale is only 875,000 on this product. So do you foresee the loss? You do, right? So here in this case, you foresee the loss. So if you foresee the loss, you have to do the calculation. And for over here, you have to record the loss on the inventory valuation. So this is case number 2. So the cost is greater. So this is case number 2, right? The cost is actually greater than the NRV. So there will be loss on the inventory valuation recorded. Okay. So for case 1, you don't have any loss, but for case 2, you do. All right, so suppose that you have already finished up with the notes here, then the last thing on this page is that the cost that must be excluded นะคะ exclude นะคะนะ exclude นะ the cost that must be excluded นะคะ from the cost of the inventory. So let me elaborate on this. You can include all the costs needed to be incurred so that you have the inventory in a ready to sell location and condition, right? So you may include cost of raw materials, cost of labor, production related costs, the freight in นะคะ to bring in the product to your warehouse นะคะ so these are the costs that can be included in the inventory costs. But the example that I will talk about here and now, they are not included in the inventory costs. So first of all, you may have abnormal amount of wasted materials, labor or some other production costs. This must be expensed right away. This is not part of the inventory costs. And if you have the products that are ready for sale already, but you have not made the sale just yet, and then you have to rent the warehouse, right, to keep or to store the products. In that situation, the storage cost would not be considered as part of the inventory costs. And you may have to have like admin type of cost, like support function and all that. This is not directly related to the production, activities. So it would not be included as the inventory costs. And lastly, if you have to pay for like selling costs like advertising, product listing, shelf, space and everything นะคะ event marketing, brand ambassador, influencer and all that, right? So these are not closely related to the production of the products. So they are not part of the inventory cost. What do you need to do with this? So these must be expensed right away นะคะ So all these costs นะคะ must be expensed right away. Okay, must be expensed right away. All right, so if you finish with the notes here, let me ask, do you have any questions on this page? If not, then I will move it up.
อาจารย์คะ Could you explain again about the difference between net realizable volumes and inventory net?
Okay, here, these two columns you said, right? You are asking about these two columns, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this column, you have to take the lower amount between the cost, right? Sorry, the lower of cost or net realizable value. So for case number 1, if you compare cost with the net realizable value, which one is lower? Case 1 ค่ะ if you compare between the cost and the net realizable value, which one is lower?
The cost ค่ะ
Okay, so you take the cost to here. Okay, you take the cost to here. And for case number 2, which one is the lower? If you compare cost between the net realizable value. Case 2.
Net realizable ค่ะ
Okay, so you take the net realizable value to here. Okay, so to elaborate a little bit more on this นะคะ this inventory net นะ will be presented on the statement of financial position. And this loss นะคะ will be presented on the statement of comprehensive income. Okay. So this is actually part of the asset and this is part of the expense. Yeah, so this is asset นะคะ and this is expense นะคะ To be more specific, this is current asset. All right, so any questions here? Okay, all right. So now hope that you finish up with the notes here. So let me move it up for another page and then I will talk about the expense recognition, okay, expense recognition. So as I said, the inventory net, which is, let me recap, okay, which is the lower, right, of, okay, lower of cost, and the net realizable value. So the inventory net is actually the lower of cost or the net realizable value. You know, this is the amount of the asset that will be presented on the statement of financial position. Okay? And then for the statement of comprehensive income, what you would have is you would have the cost of goods sold recognized when you sell off the asset, right? So if you sell off the asset, then you have to recognize the cost of goods sold. And, you know, but when the cost is greater, let's say when cost is greater than in RV, in that situation, you have to recognize also loss on the inventory valuation. เดี๋ยวใช้คนละสีกันดีกว่า Okay, so there would be, you know, the loss on the inventory valuation presented as well on the statement of comprehensive income. Okay, now you may wonder, John, how do we do the calculation for the cost of goods sold? There's actually options of recording and also calculating the amount. So let me elaborate on this for you. Okay, let's say that. Let me, okay, all right. So let's say that we have the information, the company, let's say company A แล้วกันเนาะนะคะ company A has the following inventory transaction during year 2, okay? So over here, the company has the beginning inventory. Beginning inventory, let's say that it's 1 unit and the unit cost is just 1 baht. So if you multiply 1 unit with the 1 baht, you get 1 baht. Okay, so this is in terms of unit, okay, units, and this is in terms of the cost per unit. Okay, and this is the amount. All right. So this is a starting point, all right? You have 1 baht cost of products at the beginning of the period. 1 baht cost, right, at the beginning of the accounting period. And what happened is that you buy more, right? So you purchase more of the products, right? Purchase more of the product. Let's say that you purchase multiple times, right? So this is purchase 1, purchase 2, purchase 3, purchase 4. So let's say that you purchase multiple times and it's for 1 unit at a time, 1 unit at a time, 1 unit at a time, and 1 unit at a time. So how about the cost? Let's say that for your purchase number 1, you buy the product for a 2 baht cost. Purchase number 2, you buy it at 3 baht cost. Purchase number 3, you buy it at 4 baht cost, and purchase number 4, you buy it for 5 baht cost. Okay. So what is the total purchases then? Now total purchases. So all in all, you have purchased 4 units of product. This is beginning inventory นะคะนะ So over here, you have purchased 4 units of product, right? How much is that? You take 2 baht, added that to 3 baht, added that to 4 baht, added that to 5 baht. So it's 14. Okay. So after you add the cost of purchase to the beginning inventory, you're going to get cost of goods available for sale. Okay, cost of goods available for sale. So over here, originally you have 1 unit, right? And then you buy 4 units more. So altogether you have 5 units. And in terms of the amount, right? Originally you have 1 baht. And then over here you have 14 baht, right? So altogether it's 15 baht. Okay, it's 15 baht. Okay, so this is the cost of the goods that are available for sale. Okay, so now it comes to the questions of how much should be the cost of goods sold and how much should be the ending inventory. Now let me show you the example using this color pencil นะคะ Suppose that นะคะ at the beginning นะ Suppose that at the beginning you have this 1 unit นะคะ You have this 1 unit and the cost is just 1 baht. This is beginning inventory 1 baht นะ Beginning inventory นะคะ 1 baht. Then you buy the product. This one is for 2 baht นะ And then you buy this product. This one is for 3 baht. And you buy this product. This one is for 4 baht. And you buy this product, this one is for 5 baht. So all in all, you have 5 units that are available, 5 units, right? 5 units. And the cost is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You add them up, you get 15. Okay. Now what happened is that you sell off 2 units of products out of this, you sell off 2 units and you charge the price for 10 baht each. So 2 units, 10 baht each. You would have then the revenue of 20 baht, right? Revenue of 20 baht. Now, if I sell off the 2 units of product and then I get the revenue of 20 baht, I would have to also determine the cost of goods sold. So if I am using what I call first in, first out or FIFO, the first coming in will be the first to be sold, right? So how much is my cost of goods sold for the 2 units that I have sold? How much is it? Now 2 units that I have sold. How much is that cost of goods sold? Remember that all these units have different costs, right? 1 baht, 2 baht, 3 baht, 4 baht, 5 baht. So if I am using FIFO, which is first in, first out,นะคะ, the oldest unit would then be sold first, right? So how much is the cost of goods sold for the 2 units that I have sold? So it's going to be 3 baht, right? 3 baht, which is 1 plus 2. Now, which is 1 plus 2. So the cost of goods sold would then be 3 baht, which is 1 plus 2. Now, if you know that the sales revenue is 20 and the cost of goods sold is 3 baht, how much is the gross profit? Revenue 20. Cost of goods sold 3 baht. So how much is the gross profit? 17 ถูกต้องค่ะ 17 ค่ะ alright. And how much is the remaining inventory? 3 units ค่ะ Remaining inventory, how much is it? It's a 3 baht, 4 baht, and 5 baht. You add them up all together. How much is it? Ending inventory. The ending inventory would then be 3 plus 4 plus 5 or 12 baht. ถูกไหมลูกนะ 3 plus 4 plus 5 or 12 baht. โอเคนะ So this is what we call FIFO. How about what if I want to use average? Average นะคะ So altogether, right? Altogether is 15 baht, right? 15 baht, and there are 5 units. So what is the average cost? Average 3, right? Average is 3 baht. How many units have been sold? Okay, 2. It's 3 baht per unit and 2 units have been sold, right? So what is the cost of goods sold? 3 multiplied by 2, right? So it's going to be 6 baht. ถูกไหมลูก 3 baht per unit, 3 baht per unit, 2 units have been sold. You multiply them all together, you get 6 baht. So the cost of goods sold here in this case would then be 6 baht. If that's the case, then how much is the gross profit? Remember that the revenue was 20, okay, and the cost of goods sold is 6 baht, right? So how much is the gross profit? 14. And how about the remaining inventory? Remaining inventory, you have 3 units remaining, right? You have 3 units remaining, and the unit cost is for 3 bahts. So how much is it for the remaining inventory at the end of the period? So it's going to be 9 baht, right? So it's going to be 9 baht. I will show you the calculation in detail in just a little bit, and I think it's next time. I will show you the detailed calculation of all these things that I talked about. But now I just want to let you have some ideas, right? That there are many different options for the company when they want to do the calculation for the cost of goods sold and also the ending inventory, right? They have options. They have multiple calculation methods. So over here, accounting standard stated that, So over here, the accounting standard stated that if the product are so unique, so this is a unique product, right? Unique. Okay, so if the products are so unique, meaning that each and every unit has its own character, so they're not the same, right? So if they are not the same, then you have to use what I call specific identification or SIC. Specific identification cost. So this is the only option. So this is the only option. Only option เลยนะ So if the products are so unique, they are not the same. Each and every unit has its own character, like custom-made product, antique product, jewelry with a specific, quality and all that, right? So if they are unique, then you have to use specific identification cost, right? Specific cost method. However, if the product are the same across, like you are in the production line, so if you are in the production line, the finished product would look the same, right? So in that situation, you can either use FIFO, which is first in, first out, or weighted average, weighted average, or WAC, right? Now, there's another thing that you have to know is in Thailand and also in all other countries that disallow, that follow IFRS, they disallow LIFO already, So LIFO is disallowed, Okay, so in Thailand and also in some other countries that apply IFRS, we can no longer use LIFO, So we have to focus more on the first in, first out, weighted average, if the products are the same, and if the products are different, then we have to use specific identification costs. Okay, so now could you please take the note here, and then when you are done, we will continue on. All right. Now, there are two recording systems that the company can use. They have the first one is what I call a perpetual system, and the other one is called periodic system. Like how perpetual versus periodic. So after you finish with the notes here, then I will talk about perpetual and periodic system.
อาจารย์ครับ When you
Yes.
say unique and identical, mean unique products and identical products, right?
Like for example, if you are factories, okay, if you are factories and then you produce if you produce so if you are factories, a Casio factory, and then you produce the calculator like this in your production line, are they like unique or are they the same across? What do you say?
Unique.
Meaning that your calculator is not the same as mine? If you buy like Casio AX120 ST,
Of the same.
they have like a similar feature, or mine is like A for all accounting courses. If I use this, then I will get A. They have like special feature there.
No.
So if you are Casio, and then it's your production line, right? Production line that manufacture this model of calculator. So the output from that production line would all the products be the same?
Yeah.
So which would be the methods that you can choose from?
FIFO or
ไฟ
WX.
ลูกไฟไม่ฟรีไฟ ฟังแล้วตกใจไฟลูกไฟโฟนะ
FIFO or WAC.
Okay, FIFO or WAC, all right. So, but let's say that you are a jewelry store. Okay, let's say that you are a jewelry store, and then you have multiple rings. Like multiple rings with different design, different carat size, different clarity and everything. Like suppose that you have like 10 different rings. Are they the same or are they unique?
I think unique.
Okay, so which cost flow assumption that you have to use then?
SIC.
Okay, so it has to be a specific cost, right? Like for example, you have 10 different rings. If you sell off this ring, let's say if you sell off this ring, then you have to take the cost of this ring and then record it as the cost of goods sold, right? Because this ring is different from others. You should not use FIFO, you should not use average of any kind. So it has to be the cost of that specific ring that you sell.
Because there's only one kind of this ring.
Okay, so they are unique, right? This ring would be different from some other rings, right? I mean, in terms of the cost, in terms of the design, in terms of the value and everything. Selling price is different, cost is different, design is different. So you can specifically identify which ring you sell and how much is the cost for that particular ring.
Can I call paintings unique products?
Yeah, of course. Right? Yes, of course. Right? You have like NFT art, right? They are quite different. They are not like manufacturer type of products. So they are from the creative ideas of the creator. And each and every items are different. So for that, you have to use specific cost as well. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so suppose that you have already finished up with this, then let me move up to this perpetual inventory system and the periodic inventory system. All right. So do you know the meaning of the term perpetual? Anyone knows the meaning of the term perpetual? รู้จักไหมคะลูก perpetual. Do you know the meaning of the term perpetual?
Does it mean forever? Not sure.
Okay. Very good. That's correct. Yeah, so it's forever and ever continuous, right? Continue on and on and on, continuous, right? So under the perpetual system, the inventory balance will be updated continuously throughout the period. And the inventory wouldn't be updated, debited or credited directly when there's changes in the inventory. And when you record the updates of the inventory, the cost of goods sold associated with the sale must be recorded as well. Now for each and every sale transaction. And over here, you should also take the physical count just to make sure that you have what you think you have. So over here, let me explain to you by, talking about this T account. For this particular T account, right? For this particular T account, you have the beginning balance, right, of the inventory over there, right? Beginning balance of the inventory. And then if you have more of the inventory, right? If you have the increase in the inventory, then you have to record debit to it. Debit to the inventory, debit to the inventory when you have more of the inventory. And when you have less of the inventory, maybe you sell it all, right? So you have to record the reduction on the credit side, right? Credit to the inventory, credit to the inventory. And if this is because you sell the products, right? The cost of goods sold must be recorded right away. Okay, so the cost of goods sold must be recorded right away. Okay. So the cost of goods sold must be recorded at the time of the sale. So it has to be recorded right away. Now, at the end of the period, you can then determine the balance of the inventory. Even though you know the balance of the inventory at the end, but still you should take the physical count just to make sure that you have what you think you have. Okay? So still you should take a physical count. Okay, so still you should take the physical count even though you know the ending balance already. And over here, you can also do the calculation for the balance of the cost of goods sold for that whole period, because you continuously update the balance of the inventory, and then you chart the cost of the goods that are sold directly to the cost of goods sold for each and every sale transaction. So you know the balance at the end of the period, no problem. Okay. Now, for the periodic, right? For the periodic, as the name suggests, this is periodic, meaning that for the periodic, you will update the balance only at the end of the period, only at the end, and the cost of goods sold will also be recorded at the end of the period only. But for this case, the physical count is actually a must. Why so? Why? Now let's take a look here. You have over here beginning balance, right? Beginning balance. And during the accounting period, there's no debit, there's no credit, there's no updates. So there's no updates during the period. So there's no debit, there's no credit, there's no update during the accounting period. Okay, so there's no updates during the accounting period. Okay, now what do you need to do at the end? So at the end of the period, you have to remove the beginning balance. Let's say the old balance, right? Beginning balance or old balance, same thing. Yeah. Balance from the book. So let me ask you, if I want to remove this old balance from the book, how should I do it? Should I record debit to it to remove, or should I record credit to it to remove? How can I remove the old balance from the book?
credit ครับ
Okay, all right. So I have to record credit to remove it out, right? So this will then be removed. นะคะ this นะ will be removed by recording credit. Okay. So we have to remove the beginning balance by recording, credit. And then at the end นะคะ of the period นะ physical count is a must. So you may wonder, what does it mean by the physical count? It means that you go to the warehouse and then count the actual number of units you have there, right? So you take the count of the physical units. So at the end of the period, the physical count is taken and the ending inventory, which is the new balance, okay, new balance, is recorded. Can I put in the ending balance to the book? Should I record debit to it or should I record credit to it if I want to put it in? So if I want to put it in, right? So I have to record debit to it, right? Debit to it. Okay. Now put it in by recording debit to it. Okay, debit to it. And over here, cost of goods sold would then be calculated and record at the end of the period. Okay, so cost of goods sold, let's say at the end of period, cost of goods sold is recorded to the book let's say the cost of goods sold from the calculation. So at the end of the period, the cost of goods sold from the calculation is recorded to the book. Okay, it's recorded to the book. All right, so at the end of the period, the cost of goods sold is from the calculation will be recorded to the book. So how do you calculate the cost of goods sold? The cost of goods sold will be from this calculation. You take the beginning balance, add the purchases, you're going to get the cost of the goods that are available for sale, and then take out the ending balance, and then here you have the cost of goods sold. So let me take a little bit of note here that the ending balance is from the physical count. That is why physical count is a must นะต้องนับนะคะ so this is a must นะคะ so this is from the physical count, right, meaning that you have to นะคะ so you have to take the physical count at the end, otherwise you would not be able to calculate the cost of goods sold. So the physical count is a must now for the periodic system. So take a note on this, please. If you have any questions, you let me know. All right, so hopefully you finish up with the notes here. Let me move it up here, right? So on this page, it's the example, okay? So there are 2 recording systems. So let me highlight so that you can see clearly that there are different recording systems. Okay, there are 2 recording systems, and then I will use color-coded notes. Okay, so if I use orange, okay, so this is only for perpetual, okay. I use green, so it's only for periodic, okay. So if I use black, it will be the same for both systems. Okay, so I will be using 3 different colors. If I am writing using the orange pencil, it means that this is unique only for the perpetual system. And if I use green, then it's unique only for the periodic. But if I use black, then it's going to be just the same across. Okay, so now all right, so for now, let's take a look at this example. For this particular example, at the beginning of the accounting period, the company has 1,000 units at the beginning of the year, and the cost is 100. Now the cost is 100. So my question to you is, do we need to record anything related to the beginning inventory? Would there be any debits and credits recorded for the beginning inventory?
No.
No, right? Why so? Okay, why so?
Because it is a permanent it is for the rest.
Okay, so there would be no entry for the beginning inventory since the amount is carried forward, right, from the prior year. So, there's no entry for this beginning inventory since the amount is carried forward from the prior period. Okay, so we take this balance from the prior year and then record it here. Okay, now the company purchased 2,000 units of inventory at a cost of 100. Now, let me show you the recording. Okay, let me show you the recording. For this particular case, right? For this particular case, we don't know whether, okay, we don't know whether we have paid the money or not. Okay, so if we have already made the payment, then the credit will go to cash. But if we have not, then the credit will go to the accounts payable. Okay, so that's the first thing that you have to know. And another thing that you have to know is, how to record debit. If you are using perpetual system, you have to update the inventory directly. Okay, so the inventory must be recorded, updated continuously, right? So the debit here will go to the inventory. But if you are using the periodic system, if you are using the periodic system, you will not update the inventory balance, right? You will not update the inventory balance. So what you need to do is you need to set up the temporary account to keep track on the purchases. Okay, so the purchases is a temporary account set up to keep track and the purchases made. So under this periodic system, there will be no updates during the year, meaning that there will be no debits, there will be no credits made to the inventory. So what do you have to do when you buy more of the products? You would have to set up what I call purchase account. And this purchase account is a temporary account setting up to help us keep track on the purchases made during the accounting period. All right. So as you can see over here, right, if it's orange, then it's unique only for the perpetual. If it's green, then it's unique for the periodic. But if it's black, then you record the entry the same way. Okay. All right, so for the first two items, any questions? All right, if not, then let's take a look at the sale. Okay, the sale. For the sale, again, you don't know whether the company has collected the money or not. So I would then just say debit to cash if we get the money already, or debit to the accounts receivable if we have not. And then the credit will go to the sales revenue. So the question here is, how do you get the number, right? How do you get the number? According to the information given, the company has made the sale for 1,250 units. And then the price is 175 baht per unit. So over here, you can see that if you do the calculation using the price, then the revenue is 218,750. So the revenue here will be recorded the same way. The revenue will be recorded the same way. And, under the perpetual system, you have to update the balance of the inventory. And also you have to record the cost of goods sold for every sale transaction. So what you need to do here is that you need to record also the cost of goods sold and the and the inventory. But for the periodic, you will not record anything, because the cost of goods sold and the inventory updates will be recorded at period end. Okay. All right. So how do you get the 125,000? 125,000. You sell off 1,250 units and the unit cost is 100, right? So it's 125,000. All right. Now, lastly, let's take a look at this side, perpetual system. For the perpetual system, you have already updated the inventory and you have already recorded the cost of goods sold. Meaning that at the end of the period, you don't have to do anything because you are done, right? You recorded everything already completely and correctly. But for this periodic, you have to record a lot of things though, a lot of things like that. So let's take a look at the recording under the periodic at the end of the period. Now, what are the things that you have to do? You have not updated the balance of the inventory just yet. You have not recorded the cost of goods sold just yet. You have not closed down the purchases, which is temporary account just yet. Okay. Now, let me show you this. ขออนุญาตซ่อน Okay. So over here, right, what you need to do is you need to do this calculation first, right? The beginning inventory is 1,000 units and the unit cost is 100. So it's altogether 100,000. And you buy 2,000 units more. And again, the unit cost is for 100. So the amount here is 200,000. So over here, you have 3,000 units that are available for sale. And the total, right, of cost of goods available for sale is 300. Okay. And for the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold, the ending inventory is given here, right? It's 1,750 and the cost of goods sold is calculated. Okay? So I will show you the calculation in just the recording in just a little bit. แป๊บนึงนะคะ Now let me do something first. Okay, sorry for that. So let me share my screen one more time. So over here, Nika, you have already calculated the amount, right? So for the cost of goods sold, Nika, for the cost of goods sold, we have to record now the cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold here is an expense, right? It is, Nika, an expense. Yeah. So if you have more expense, everyone more expense. Okay, more expense, and profit would then be reducing. Okay, retained earnings would then be reducing, and equity would then be reducing. So my question to you is, how do we record it? Should it be debited or should it be credited? Cost of goods sold. Debit or credit? Cost of goods sold. Debit or credit? All right, so the cost of goods sold must be debited, right? So over here, the cost of goods sold is debited, as you can see. The cost of goods sold is debited. Okay. Now you have to close down the purchases. To close purchases. So the normal balance of purchase is on the debit side, right? Normal balance is on the debit side. Normal balance is on debit. So how do you close? How do you close? Should you record debit or credit to the purchases? Okay, should you record debit or credit to the purchases? This is credit, okay? So it's a credit to the purchases. Okay, credit to the purchases. So this is credit, okay? Now, so this is to close. Now, the ending inventory, this is to update, to update the new balance, so if you want to update the new balance of inventory, you have to record debit, debit to the ending inventory. So it's here. Now this is to update the balance. And then for the beginning inventory, this is to remove the old balance. So if you want to remove it out, right, you have to record debit to the beginning inventory. So the debit over here would then be to the beginning inventory. Okay, so now you take the note here, please. When you are done, then it would be a quiz. Launch at 3:50. So take the note on this, and then when you are done, you turn on your camera and be ready. The quiz will be launched at 3. ไม่ใช่ The quiz will be launched at 3:55 นะคะ 3:55. So if you have any questions, do let me know. Okay, so today's sessions would end here, and then for the next class, I would then focus more on the calculation. Okay, so do you have any questions here? If you finish with the notes, you turn on your camera and be ready for the quiz. It's the same policy, all right? Open book, okay? It's individual quiz, meaning that you have to work alone. And it's 15 minutes only. By the end of that 15 minutes time, you have to click submit, and then you can leave the meeting. If you finish early, you click submit, and then you can leave the meeting. Okay, so any questions on this? Entries under the perpetual and periodic system? You have to understand the recording here,นะคะ, so that next time, I would then continue on from this. So if you have any questions, you let me know right away so that I can address that question. Dylan, I don't understand your question. What do you mean by that? You mean whether the company is using perpetual or periodic? Is that what you mean? Whether the company is using perpetual or periodic? Oh, I have to let you know specifically because I look for the correct answer, right? So if I say the company is using periodic, then you have to give me this one. If I say the company is using perpetual, then you have to give me this one. So I will have to tell you specifically, otherwise I will not be able to grade your exam, right? So I will be very specific. just like depreciation นะคะ just like depreciation I'll be very specific saying that you know whether you're going to use straight line or double declining นะคะ so I have to be very specific. All right, so now let me stop share. Hope that you finish up with the notes already, and please be ready. So in 2 minutes, you get to see the quiz, and then once you finish, you click submit and you can leave the meeting. Remember that it has to be individual quiz. Don't work with your friends. Please be straightforward with me.